Today we are going to design a T-beam. A T-beam is given with the data. For the given data, you need to calculate the area of steel required. In the design part of T-beam, we need to assume the neutral axis. The first problem we are going to discuss today is a T-beam has the following data. Width of flange is 750 mm, breadth of beam is 250 mm, effective depth is 500, thickness of flange is 90 mm, upright movement is 130 kN. Design the beam using M20 gauge concrete and Fe415 steel. So first we will write down the given data, then we will start answering the problem. So in the given data, width of flange, that is BF, is given as 750 mm. Breadth of flange is given as 250 mm. Effective depth is given as 500 mm. Thickness of flange, we represent thickness of flange as DF as 90 mm. Applied movement, here we should not calculate MU, rather it is working movement. Working movement is given as 130 kilonewton meter. The grade of concrete is given as M20. The grade of steel is taken as 415. For this given data, we need to analyze first the neutral axis. So whether the neutral axis between web or flange. If you take a look of T-beam, the cross section of T-beam, this is the flange and this is the web. The analysis of T-beam will always depend upon how much will be the neutral axis depth. Whether the neutral axis depth is in flange or neutral axis will be in web. So in order to analyze this, in the first case, we will assume that the neutral axis is within the flange and we will calculate the moment of resistance and then we calculate the steel, right? So in first, before assuming this, here the working moment is given. So we can calculate ultimate movement as, because we are following new state of design, that is 1.5 into 130, which will come to 195 into 10 power 6 Newton mm. So assuming, as I said, assuming neutral axis depth exactly equal to depth of flange, so this is DF, this is BF, this is breadth of web, and if you have a steel here, some kind of steel, so the center of steel from here to here is given as small d, right? So assuming du x equals df, moment of resistance is calculated as, right, 0.36 FCK BF df into d minus 0.42 df. You can refer clause number 1.1.c for more details. Now substituting the values, this is 0.36, as because we are assuming neutral axis is within the area, here actually XU will come. In place of XU we have substituted DF. So 0.36 into 20 into breadth of flange is 750. Depth of flange is 90 into 500 minus 0.42 into depth of flange is 90. And if you happen to calculate this value, you will get a value of 224.8 into 10 power 6 Newton mm or 224.8 kilonewton meter. So we'll write down these values in the given diagram. This is 750, this is 90, this is 250, this is 500. Now you have got the movement of resistance when the neutral axis is assumed within the depth of flange. Now you need to compare this movement of resistance with the design moment of resistance which we have calculated here. This is design moment of resistance. When you compare 195 with this, it shows that your movement is more when compared to the designs. So hence the assumption is right. Assumption is right. And using clause number 1.1.b, area of slip can be calculated. From clause 1.1.b of page G1.1.b, movement of resistance is given by 0.87 F by AST D into 1 minus AST by BD into Fy by FCA. 0.87 into 415 into AST we need to calculate. D is 500. 1 minus AST by red is you have to take here BW. Now you may be having a question whether you have to take BW or BF. Right? As because neutral axis is lying within the flange, you have to consider here BF. Right? So this is 750 into D is 500 into Fy is 415 divided by FCK is 20. So moment of resistance will be equal to design moment of resistance, that is 195 into 10 power 6. So from the above equation, if you calculate AST, you get as so this is the problem ending. So for the given section, now you are able to calculate the area of steel required. But what if the condition XU is not there? So in this problem, the solution has been completed. This is other than that. In this problem or in this design, we have seen that it is XU is within the DF. How within the DF? Because movement applied is less than movement design. Movement applied on this cross section is less than the design movement. That is why we are telling that neutral axis is within the flange. If the design movement is more than the movement of resistance alone, which means this condition is opposite, right? In this problem. So which means movement of resistance is less than is more than applied design moment. Then this section is calculated like this. For example, if XU, you can say XU is greater than DF, which means neutral axis has came down when your moment of resistance calculated from mu1, we can calculate this as mu1 or mu1 is less than moment of design moment. When this situation comes, again you have to consider whether dF by d is 0.2 less than or greater than. Then you have to consider dF by xu, again compare with 0.43. So these two things we have to remember when we are designing the T-beam. If if moment designed is less than the limiting moment of resistance or mu1, you can follow up to here. If the moment of resistance of the beam, right, is less than the designed moment, then you have to go for the next step. In the previous problem, we have discussed design of T-beam, assuming that the neutral axis is within the depth of flange. And today we are going to discuss about the design of the beam if the neutral axis depth is within the depth. In order to say, or in order to estimate the neutral axis depth, whether it is in flange or web, we need to correlate the values of moment of resistance of the rectangle section with the moment applied on the beam. Like here it is 230, in the previous case it is 130. So if you happen to notice D-beam, we have it here. This is T-beam which I am talking about. The top width is called as B, breadth of line which is given by 750 mm. This depth of flange is given by 90 mm. Breadth of web is given by 250 mm. And the overall, the effective depth of flange is given by 500. For the given section, it carries some moment. Now you need to calculate the moment of resistance. Now you need to compare this moment of resistance value with the ultimate given moment. If the ultimate moment is more than the strength, then your neutral axis is coming down, which is in the web. If the applied moment is less when compared to the resistance, then the neutral axis is going to decline. This the first we have discussed. Now today we are going to discuss the moment is applied more than the resistance. So the first step in this here is right. Now we will assuming neutral axis is within the flange, which means that XU equals to DF. We know for rectangular section we have already decided when neutral axis is within the depth of flange, as per clause G 2.1, this section should be treated as rectangle section. So for rectangle section, moment of resistance is given by 0.36 FCA in the stress. We need to multiply with area, that is BL into XU. This is the area of cross section. Stress into area, you got force multiplied by moment B minus 0.42 XU. As because XU equals to within the DF, so we need to substitute DF instead of this. So that implies we will notate that moment as mu1, which is given by 0.36 FCK BF DF into D minus 0.42 DF. Now for the given section, 0.36 into FCK is 20 into breadth of flange is 750 depth of flange is 90, D is 500, minus 0.42 into 90. This value is given by 224.8 into 10 power 6 Newton mm, or 224.8 kilonewton meter. Now this is the moment carrying capacity of this TB when the neutral axis is within the flange. Now this should be compared with the moment design moment. So the design moment is given by MUD, factor of safety 1.5 multiplied by applied moment is given as 230. And if you multiply 1.5 into 230, you will get a value as 345 kilonewton meter. Now if you compare MU1 with MUD, MUD is more than MU1, so neutral axis is shifted to neutral axis lies in where? When neutral axis is lying in the bed, you have to follow clause number G 2.1 or 2.2.1 or 2.3. There are three clauses if it is in the bed. So we will assume clause number, assuming clause number G.2.3 as your depth of flange by XU is equals to 0.43. Is not greater than 0.43 is one of the clause. We have to take this case. If it is less, then we have to design the beam as discussed in the previous problem. If this value is more, the next step is we will assume df by xq equals to 0.43. Right? Now from this, you can calculate df xu as df by 0.43. df is 90 divided by 0.43. This will give you a value of 210 mm. Now you have got new neutral axis form equation. When XU is within the web and when df by XU is 0.43, from referring clause number G2.3 and clause number G2.2.1, you can calculate moment of ultimate moment. Let me take this as 2. That value, that equation is given by 0.36. Instead of XU, we will write instead of XU max, we will write XU by D into 1 minus 0.42 XU by D, then FCK BWD square plus 0.45 FCK BF minus BW into DF into D minus DF by 2. This is the equation which we have. So if you substitute these values, you will get as MU2 is given by, so you know XU to 10, you know D, you know XU, FCK, you know BW, you know. If you substitute all these values, you will get M2 value as 339.93 kilonewton. Now you have got new moment of resistance. Now how much is our design moment? design moment is this much. So we have noted that design moment 345, right, is more. So hence this design moment, if design moment is more than this, hence whatever we have assumed here, right, that is df by xu 0.43 we have kept should be less than or equal to is true. If the design moment whatever we have calculated is less when you compare to M2, then neutral axis should be followed each other. So whatever the neutral axis which you have calculated here M210 is true, why? Because if your F2 value is less than this one, if it is more, then it is not the actual. So when you know that dm by xu is less than or equal to 0.43, then you need to calculate the compressive forces. Within web and compressive forces within flange. So compressive forces within the web, we always categorize this as web portion and this as flange. So if this is the web, then the equation for this is 0.36 FCK into BW into XU, and for given value this is 0.36 into 20 into BW is 250 into X is 210, then you will get this value is 378 into 10 power 3 newtons. And similarly this value is given by 0.45 FCK into BF minus BW into DL. This is given by 0.45 into 20 into BF is 750 minus BW is 250 into DF is 90. So these terms are from here only. Now compressive force within the due to flange, if you calculate this, you will get this value as 405.10 power 3 newtons. Now for these compressive forces, we need to calculate the moments. So moment within web is given by, so this value 0.36 FCK BW into XU multiplied by moment is given by D minus 0.42 XU. If you multiply this value 378 into 10 power 3, D is 500 minus 0.42 into 210, you will get a moment as 155.67 into 10 power 6 Newton mm. Similarly, moment within flange is given by this force, that is 0.45 FCK BF minus BW DL into D minus DF by 2. This value is given by 405 into 10 power 3. This value already calculated into 500 minus 90 by 2. This value you can calculate as 184.2 into 10 power 6 Newton mm. Now from force equilibrium you know that total compressive force equals to total tension. So total compressive force can be divided as compressive force due to flange and compressive force due to web and ultimate tensile load. So total compressive force due to flange is 405 plus total compressive force due to web is
378 into 10 cube equals to, this value is given by 0.87 F by AST. This is the total force due to tension, right? So from this, AST can be calculated as 405 plus 378 into 10 cube divided by 0.87. You can calculate this value in
mm square. So although these two steps are not needed, this step and this step is not needed, but you need to calculate it, right? Because it will tell you the movements which is greater. Now you can clearly see that the web, this is the web, this is the flange. So movement due to the web is more and the movement due to the flange is very less. Right. So this is how we need to design a TV when the neutral axis is within the web, and there is a condition when mu2, which you calculated from here, mu2 is less than mud, and if it is opposite, mu2 is greater than mud. In next problem we will discuss if mu2 is greater than mud, then neutral axis shall be done by trial and error, or subsequently you can use YF equation. Until now YF did not came, right? You can see here only DF came, right? So in the next problem we will discuss about YF. So the same steps will follow. So we will assume neutral axis is within the flange, then we will calculate this value, then we will get this mu1, will compare mu1 with the design movement, right? We'll compare this definitely. If this condition is there, then we'll assume, we'll say that the neutral axis is within the is came to the web, right? And if this condition is not, if mu1 is less than mud, then your neutral axis is within the depth, right? This condition is when mu1 is mud. This condition is mu1 is greater than mud, right? So if this condition is there, then you need to calculate this mu2 value by using this clause number G2.3, where XU max is replaced with XU, and XU value is assumed by equating dN by XU equals to 0.43. And we will compare this mu2 value with mud, and if mu2 is less than mud, then this is how you need to calculate. Although you can skip these two steps, you can calculate compressive force due to web and compressive force due to flange, and using this equation, C total compressive forces equals to total tensile forces, you can calculate area of steel, right? I have not calculated, you have to calculate from your side. If mu2 is less than mud, mu2 is less than mud, but mu1, when you compare mu2 is greater. So we will do that problem by using trial and error in next problem. Okay. Hello students. In the previous class, we have discussed about the design of a TV when the neutral axis is within the flange and when the neutral axis is within the web, and where trial and error is not needed. Today we are going to design a TV with the following data. From the following data, which is given in the question, the given data is as because in this T-beam direct load is not given, whereas slab is given to you and spacing of beams is given to you. For example, if this is your slab, there is a T-beam here, there is a T-beam here, and there is T-beam here, and so on. Now from center to center T-beam is given to you as 3.3 meters, and the span of this slab is given as 8 meters. If you notice in the question, it is given something like this. Now for this given beam, we need to calculate the load taken by one single T-beam as shown in the figure. Now if you take a look of this central T-beam, which I am hatching with this color, right, it takes a load of this portion. So which again, if center to center is 3.3 meters, then this would be 3.3 by 2, this would be 3.3 by 2. So 2 times 3.3 will give you 2 times 3.3 by 2 will again give you 3.3. So the total load taken by one T-beam is of width 3.3 meters. Okay. So first we will calculate the load calculations. Then we will calculate we'll note down the material properties. Then we'll start the example. So let us now write down the load calculations. In load calculations, if you take a look at the problem, there are some values which are given in kilonewton per square meter, and there are some values which are given in kilonewton per meter. First we come from top. The topmost portion of the slab is called as finishing loads. Finishing loads is nothing but the floor loads, the tile loads, whatever we are laying at. Those loads come under finishing loads. Then comes the dead load of slab. Then comes the dead load of beam. This is all dead load. And then comes the load which is taken by the slab due to wall. Right? These all loads are given to you. Now we will calculate one by one. So first we will take dead load of slab. Dead load of slab. How will you calculate dead load of slab? Dead load of slab is calculated as considering 1 square meter of area, which means 1 by 1 meter. This will be 1 meter and this will be 1 meter. 1 meter by area to the relevant thickness. So multiplied by 0.13, 130 mm is the thickness of beam. This should be multiplied by 25. By 25 kilonewton per cubic meter is the density of concrete. Now if you calculate this, you will get a value of 3.25 kilonewton per square meter. Then comes the floor finishings of the slab. Floor finish on slab. For finish on the slab, in the question directly it is given as 0.75 kilonewton per square meter. Then we got live load on the floor. Live load on floor is also directly given as 10 kilonewton per square meter. Now if you sum these loads, you will get a value of 14 kilonewton per square meter. So dead load of slab, dead load of floor and floor finish will give you a value of 14 kilonewton per square meter. Any load which is distributed on floor is denoted in kilonewton per square meter. So floor loads, live loads, these are all denoted in area. So that is why we have got 14 kilonewton per square meter. Fine. Now we have calculated this. Now there is another load below slab. You got, what do we call? We call this as beam. So we need to calculate the beam. Beam load is not calculated in kilometer per square meter. It is rather calculated in kilometer per meter. So first we need to convert this 14 kilometer per square meter. The actual portion, whatever we have calculated, this value is we have calculated as 14 kilometer per square meter. Now we need to calculate this per meter length. Per meter length it is how much? So flow load transferred to beam is 14 kilometer per square meter is the total load, which should be per kilonewton per meter. The answer should be kilonewton per meter length of slab. So if you have a support here and if you have a support something else here, now if I draw a simply supported beam, this value should be something like this. So we are trying to calculate this value, how much this would be, and this is 8 meters. This distribution is over 8 meters span. So we need to multiply with the spacing of the beams which is given to you. So in 4 kilometer per square meter, one of the meter we will take as 13.3 per square meter, right? We will take 13.3, and over lengthwise we will take 1, because we will make it as 1 meter, right? So this will give you a value of 46.2 kilometer per meter. So this is how we will make it. So 14 kilometer per square meter, we will take 1 meter length and 3.3 meters full width, right? Again, if you multiply here 1, you get again 14 kilometer per square meter. So we need to take the spacing of beams and we need to multiply with 3.3, right? Now, as because we have calculated the total load which is coming onto the beam from floor, now we need to calculate the beam weight, right? So we will represent it as dead load of beam. Now dead load of beam, how will you calculate? In the given data, the beam cross sections are given to you, right? If this is the beam and you got, if this is the beam, right? And this breadth is given to you and this overall depth is, we will write down 3 minutes. So this is 300 and this is given as, I think it is 450. Now if this is the cross section, we are supposed to calculate this way. This is the beam. This we have already calculated this, right? So this value is given by, so 0.45 minus 0.13, because we are calculating in meters. We have got the depth of beam. Now this should be multiplied with 0.3 and we'll take 1 meter length. And you got the volume. This volume should be multiplied by 45 kilometer per cubic meter. This is RCC by, and you will get a value of 2.4 kilonewton. And in the question, it is also given to you the load of ball. So the load of ball is given as dead load of ball is given as 12 kilonewton per meter. Now you have 12 kilonewton per meter, which is from slab. You got dead load of beam, you got dead load of ball, and if you add them up, you will get a value of 60.6 kilonewton per meter. This is total working load. Right? But as because you are following limit state of design, you need to calculate the ultimate load which is coming. So ultimate load ultimate load is given by a factor of safety of 1.5 multiplied by the 60.6. This will give you a value of 90.9 kilonewton per meter. Now after getting 19.9, you need to calculate ultimate bending moment. That is given by WL square by A. So W is ultimate load. So WU is given as 90.9 into span is given as 8 divided by 8, which this value will be 727.6 kilonewton meter. Right. So this is how the load calculations are done with reference to this diagram. So refer this diagram, right? Then you can do the calculations. After calculating the bending moment, we will write down the material and section properties. Okay? So material and section properties from the given data, it is given as dF equals to 130 mm, BW equals to 300 mm, B equals to 450 mm, FCK as 20 MPa, Fy as 415 MPa. When you have written the section properties, now you might have noticed one of them is missing here, and that is breadth of flange. Right? So we will calculate breadth of flange, but before that we also need to calculate the effective depth. Here 450 is the overall depth, right? From top of slab to bottom. So what we do is we will calculate effective depth as, that is represented by small d, d minus, right? And if it is slab bottom and you have steel here, right? Now from here to here it is called as clear cover, and this is nothing but diameter, right? And if you are supposed to calculate the effective cover, this is nothing but you have to deduct clear cover minus half of diameter. Right. So overall depth is given as 250. Clear cover we will assume as 70 for the time being, and dia we will assume as 20. So this will give you a value of 330 mm. Fine. Now after calculating the effective width of flange or effective breadth of flange, effective width of flange can be calculated using codebook. In codebook, flange means you can refer, and VF can be calculated from a clause given as L0 by 6 plus VW plus DF. So L0 is given as 8 meters plus all the values should be 8 meters plus VW is 0.3 meters plus DF is 0.13 meter. Now this will give you a value of 2.413
meter. So 2.413 means it is nothing but 2413 mm.
Now we have got the material properties here. Now we have calculated loader calculations. Now let us start the design. Like what we have discussed in the previous class. In order to design the beam, we need to estimate the neutralized system. And because moment of resistance is not given to you, right? So moment of design is given to you. So if you know the area of steel and the sectional properties, if you know the area of steel and the sectional properties, you can calculate the neutralized system. But because area of steel is not given, you cannot calculate the neutralized system. But based upon assumptions, we will go. Okay.
So we'll start design calculations.
In the first assumption, we will say that your neural axis is exactly equals to the depth of flange, which is 130 mm, and we will calculate the moment of resistance, and we will keep that value as mu1, which is given by 0.36 FCK BF into DF into D minus 0.42 TF. Now if you suppose to calculate this, that is 0.36 into FCK is 20, BF is 2413, DF is 130, D is 330 minus 0.42 into DF is 130, and you will get a value of 622.01 into 10 power 6 Newton mm. Now, which is very important for all our designs. Now, here we have got as 727, the design moment is 727, and if you assume that neutral axis is within the flange, it is not equivalent. So, hence, we can draw a conclusion that when XU equals to DF, your M1 is very less than MUD. Therefore, XU will be greater than DF. This is the conclusion. So, in the second assumption, we will assume more than DF value. So, how much more DF value we need to assume? Referring to the previous problem, assuming XU as DF by 0.43. This was drawn from the conclusion like DF by XU equals to 0.43. That is, if you prefer clause number G.2.3.1, from there we have drawn this conclusion. So from XU when we calculate that DF value you will know as 130.0.43 will give you a value of 302 mm. Now, knowing the XU value is 302 mm, you can calculate movement of resistance. Like now we will denote this as MU2. We will denote this as MU2. Now we will refer clause number. This you can refer clause number 2.1, 2.2 and 2.2.1. Now in order to, there are two equations in either of these which is dependent again by ratio of df by d, right? And if you suppose to calculate df by d, right?
if you are supposed to calculate dF by d, which is given by dF is how much? 130 and small d is 330. You will get a value of 0.39, which is greater than 0.2, referring these two classes. When this value is greater than 0.2, then you have to take YF. Or if it is less than, then you have to take DF. So mu2 is given by, so you need to follow which clause? You need to follow clause G2.2.1. So dF by d ratio will decide whether to go for equation which is given in 2.2 or 2.2.1. So in mu, if you refer to mu2, then it is given by 0.36 FCK XU by D into 1 minus 0.42 XU by D into BWD square plus 0.45 FCK BF minus BW into YF multiplied by D minus 0.55 where YF is given by 0.15 XU plus 0.65 df. This should not be more than df. So we have assumed the XU value as 302 mm. Now 302 mm is substituted here. You get a YF value. You should not be more than df. If it is more than df, you should take df value. And we substitute YF and XU in this equation mu2. And again this mu2 is compared with ultimate limit.
Now we will calculate the movement of resistance. Okay. So movement of resistance mu2 is given by, we substitute the values now. So before that we need to calculate YF. YF is given by 0.15. XU is, we have calculated XU as in the second clause, that is 302 plus 0.65 into BF is depth of flange. You will get this value as 264 mm, as because this should not be more than DF. This value should be taken as 130, that is equal to D. Now mu2 is given by substituting these values. 0.36 into FCK is 20, XU is 302 by D is 330 into 1 minus 0.42 into 302 by 330 into BWD square. BW is 300 into D is 330 plus
The second term, right? We are now writing this term.
0.45 into 20. BF is 2413 minus BW is 300 into YF is 130 into D minus D is 330 minus 130 by 2. Now if you happen to calculate this mu2 value, you will get a mu value of 787.66 into 10 power 6 Newton mm. Now you have got
Another mu value. Now we have got 1 So this is your design moment. This is when you assume that the section is rectangle section and within the DF this is the, so that is why this is more. We came to the conclusion that the neutral axis is shifted to web rather than flange. Now we have got mu2 value. When you compare mu2 with MUV, which is here, now it says that MU2 is more. So, which means that whatever the XU value you have assumed, 300 is more, right? So, hence XU value is less than what, df by 0.43, that is 302 mm. Right. So we will assume a little bit less value. Now trial 2, we have trial 1 we have taken as XU 300. Now trial 2 we will assume XU value as 230 mm. For this, if you calculate YF using this equation, 0.15 into XU is 230 plus 0.65 130, you will get at this YF value as 119 mm. And if you happen to calculate this MU2 using the same equation which I have written here, this equation if you use, which means you are going to substitute this value and you are going to substitute this value. These values are YF, this is YF, and this value is XU. So if you substitute XU here and YF values here, then your movement more or less matches with the given value as 723.12 into 10 power 6 Newton mm. Now if you compare 723 with 727, so it is more or less equal. So this is, so hence XU can be taken as 230 mm. Now you have found out neutral axis depth as 230 mm. Right? You can approximately take that value. So we have first we have taken XU value within the DF. No, it is not matching. Then we have taken XU value as within divided by 4/3, which is 7/3 of DF. So you got 300. For 300 you have got this value, right? Now we understood that this is more, so the assumption value is more. So we need to reduce the neutral axis depth. We have taken 230 mm approximately to about any value. So this is a trial and error process. So you need to calculate the neutral axis such that this MU value matches with this XU value. Now after knowing this value, you need to calculate the, you need to equate the compressive forces and tensile forces and need to calculate it. Okay. Now if you remember the analysis of the waves, we have a flange and then we have a web. Okay. Now this we have divided into two sections. Now this total is given by VF. This is given as DF. And if you have an area of steel somewhere here and center of area of steel from the top is given as effective depth D, and this is given as dW, and this is given by AHT. Right? So this is the dimensions whatever we have taken in the analysis of the TP. So this first section which is within this area is taken as rectangle section, and this is taken as rectangle section and we have denoted in separate. So if you take a look of stress diagram, right? Stress diagram for the figure 1. Stress diagram for figure 1 is taken something like this, okay, and stress diagram for figure 2 is taken as a rectangle section, right? So in the same way, we need to equate the compressive forces with the tensile forces. Now, if you assume this in this way, now you have a force here, that is compressive force due to, this is only from web, and you have a compressive force, you have a tensile force due to web. Similarly, you have a compressive force due from flange, and you have a tensile force due to flange. So this is how it is. Now you need to equate, you need to add these lemma and you need to equate these two. So CUW is given by equating total forces. First I'll write down CUW. CUW is this rectangle portion. CUW is this rectangle portion. This force stress into area. What is the stress area? Stress area is given by 0.36 FCK into area is this cross section, right? Again within XU. BW into XU, we have calculated this value. Then you need to add the compressive force. Compressive force is given by 0.45 FCK is the total intensity of stress multiplied by area of this given by this small portion and this small portion, which can be written as BF minus BW into how much is the depth of this section. Now depth of section, whether you have to take DF or YF is equal to 1, as because your depth is 230, right? You need to calculate this D by DF by D ratio, right? So as because DF by D ratio is greater than 0.2, which we have calculated, you have to take YF. So how to take YF I may have clear. If it is less than 0.2, then you can take DF. So BF minus BW into YF equals to, so you have to add these both values, which is 0.87 Fy, ASTW and ASTF, which combines AST, and if you substitute these values, 0.36 into 20 into breadth of BW is 300 into 230 plus 0.45 into 20 into 2413 minus 300 into 119 equals to 0.87 into 415 into AST, and if you happen to calculate AST, you will get a value of 7643.8 Nm square. Now you might have noticed that area of steel value is more. So hence, so in TB, we have singly reinforced and we have got doubly reinforced. So in the next class, we will discuss about doubly reinforced section.